Candace Owens never dreamed she'd be in a hospital bed, holding two babies she wasn't meant to keep. At 32, life hadn't been easy for her. She'd dropped out of college, gone through a painful divorce, and worked nights cleaning the courthouse just to get by. Candace had always believed in doing good, no matter how life knocked her down. So, when she saw that surrogacy flyer, she didn't just see extra money. She saw a chance to change someone's world. Little did she know, it would change hers forever. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from. The couple she was matched with, Ethan and Gwen Taylor, were well-off, polite, and white, different from Candace in many ways. But at first, none of that seemed to matter. The agency took care of the legal details, and Gwen got emotional during their very first video call. "We'll be with you every step of the way," Ethan promised. They spoiled Candace with thoughtful gifts, hired a private nurse for her, and even signed her up for prenatal yoga. "Whatever you need," Gwen would text, "we're so thankful for you." Candace trusted them completely. The journey wasn't easy, but it felt right. At her 10-week checkup, Candace got the surprise of her life. She was carrying twins. Gwen and Ethan were overjoyed when she told them. By 20 weeks, when she shared the ultrasound pictures, they sent her a beautiful silver necklace with 2 tiny baby footprints, a keepsake that touched her heart. Candace never planned to grow attached, but how could she help it? At night, she'd sing softly to the little ones inside her. Every flutter, every kick made her smile. "Remember, they're not yours." She reminded that to herself. Don't let yourself get too close. As the weeks passed, her pregnancy progressed smoothly. The Taylors stayed in touch, showering her with sweet notes and thoughtful gifts. Everything seemed perfect, until the day everything changed. Then, 2 weeks before her due date, the unthinkable happened. In the middle of night, sharp contractions jolted Candace awake. Her heart pounded as she fumbled for her phone, dialing the Taylor's number with trembling fingers. "Please pick up, please." But all she got was voicemail. Again and again. She was immediately rushed to the hospital. Still, as the nurses wheeled her into delivery, she kept insisting, "The parents, they'll be here soon. Just call them again." Alone in that delivery room, with no Gwen to squeeze her hand, no Ethan anxiously waiting outside, Candace clung to one thing, Dr. Anthony's steady voice guiding her through each painful wave. At 5:05 that morning, Candace's first miracle arrived, a beautiful baby boy, letting out his first tiny cry. Just 2 minutes later, his brother joined him in the world. Both perfect, both healthy. The nurses gently wrapped one baby in a soft white blanket, his curious eyes already taking in the world. The other they placed briefly in Candace's arms, just long enough for her heart to overflow before they were taken to the nursery. Exhausted but glowing, Candace whispered through dry lips, Have the Taylors come yet?" The nurse's kind but worried face told her everything. "Not yet, dear, but don't you worry, we're trying all their numbers." As the morning sunlight streamed through the hospital blinds, Candace drifted in and out of restless sleep. Each time she awoke, her first question was the same. "Any news from the parents?" Each time the answer cut deeper. "No, sweetheart, not yet." As evening fell, Candace noticed the hospital staff speaking in hushed tones. Nurses who had been so cheerful earlier now avoided meeting her eyes. Her stomach knotted with growing dread. Then Dr. Anthony entered quietly, closing the door behind him. His kind face was serious as he pulled up a chair. "Candace," he began gently, "there's something we need to discuss." She pushed herself up in bed, her hands suddenly cold. "We've called the Taylors all day. Every number we have," he explained. "The agency can't reach them either." Candace's heart skipped a beat. I don't understand." The doctor took a deep breath. "Their lawyer contacted us. They've decided not to take responsibility for the babies. They've asked that we stop trying to reach them." The words hit Candace like a bucket of ice water. She couldn't breathe. "But why?" she finally managed to whisper. Dr. Anthony shook his head. "All we know is they requested photos of the twins first. After seeing them, their lawyer sent the message refusing custody. She sat frozen, the truth settling in her bones like a deep winter chill. Candace's heart ached as she pictured those precious babies, one with the sweetest dimple when he cried, the other already showing his fighting spirit with that determined little fist. With tears in her eyes, she whispered the question weighing on her soul. What will become of them now? Later that night, Candace found herself drawn to the nursery window. There they were, her two beautiful boys sleeping peacefully side by side, one dressed in a tiny lavender outfit, the other snug in his blanket, his small hand protectively resting on his brother. So innocent, so unaware of the storm swirling around them. A kind nurse joined her at the window. "Such sweet babies," she murmured, "and yet no names. In our records, you're still just listed as the surrogate." Candace's throat tightened. "Would you like to hold them?" the nurse offered gently. Everything in Candace's contract said no. The paperwork was clear. She was only the carrier, not the mother. But as she looked through the glass at those sleeping faces, her heart answered before her mind could object. "Yes," she breathed. "Oh, yes, I would." The nurse carefully placed both sleeping newborns in Candace's waiting arms. Settling into the rocking chair, Candace felt warm tears roll down her face as the babies instinctively curled against her. One sighed contentedly, his tiny fingers brushing her chest. Her mind reeled. The Taylors, the couple who'd promised so much, had disappeared without a word. Now these precious boys, so full of life and possibility, had suddenly become nobody's children. The next morning brought a visit from a kind but businesslike social worker. She explained about temporary placement and foster care options in careful legal terms. Candace kept rocking slowly, the twins breathing softly in her arms. When the social worker finished, Candace lifted her head, her voice barely audible but full of quiet determination. "Tell me the truth now. Where will these babies go?" That night, Candace spent sleepless night. As the twins dozed peacefully against her in the quiet hospital room, her thoughts tumbled like clothes in a dryer. The very idea of these babies entering the foster care system made her heart physically hurt. The paperwork said she had no legal claim, just the woman who carried them, nothing more. But then she noticed something that kept tugging at her. Those little faces bore more than just her color. There were her features intact in the boys, the same delicate earlobes and facial structures, and that distinctive birthmark, identical to her nephew's. Candace held up a mirror and traced her features side by side. The truth stared back at her. Those beautiful boys resembled her and her family so much. With trembling hands, Candace reached for her phone and called the agency. No answer. She tried again and again. When no one responded to her emails, she packed up the twins in a borrowed stroller and marched straight to their office. The receptionist nearly jumped from her seat. "Candace, we weren't expecting you." "Because you've been ignoring me," Candace said, her voice steady. She gestured to the sleeping infants. "These babies look just like me. There's been a mistake. You used the wrong donor, didn't you?" The woman froze. I can't discuss." "That wasn't a question," Candace said firmly. "I'm demanding DNA tests." She found a kind lawyer willing to help for free. Within days, the hospital collected samples from Candace and the boys. The Taylors refused to participate. Then the results arrived at her doorstep, few days later. Candace was 99% match with the babies. Somewhere along the way, a terrible mistake had been made. A mix-up at the clinic. These were her sons. The DNA results slipped from Candace's fingers as tears spilled down her cheeks. This changed everything. She hadn't simply carried these babies as a surrogate. Though the agency dodged responsibility and the Taylors refused to acknowledge their role in the mix-up, the truth couldn't be denied. Luckily, the same lawyer came forward to take up her case to the court. Through all the evidence shown in front, the judge granted her full custody without any hassle and questions. The courtroom felt like a dream. Papers were stamped. A judge spoke, but all Candace heard was the rustle of two tiny ones in the carrier beside her. When the gavel struck, she didn't just feel vindicated, she felt something deeper, a primal certainty as old as time. These are mine. And those precious babies? They finally received the names they were always meant to have: Stephen and Bryant Owens. The road ahead wasn't easy, but Candace faced it with determined love. After just 2 months, she returned to her night cleaning job, bundling her boys in second-hand strollers. Kind co-workers took turns watching Stephen and Bryant in the staff break room while she worked. Though her hands were raw from scrubbing and her eyes heavy with exhaustion, her heart was full. These were her sons. Every sacrifice was worth it. Years blurred together in the best way. Sleepless nights turned into first steps, scraped knees, and bedtime stories. Candace's hands grew rough from cleaning floors, but her heart stayed soft, especially when Stephen plinked out a tune on his toy piano, or Bryant whispered, "Mama, what if the stars are just light?" Life moved forward in its own sweet rhythm for their little family of 3. Stephen, her musical boy, could make a symphony from ordinary kitchenware by age 5, his spoon drumsticks keeping time on every available surface. Bryant, her quiet dreamer, would rather lose himself in books or gaze at the stars from their apartment window. Candace budgeted. Every spare dollar went to necessities, never luxuries. She tutored neighborhood children in the afternoons, took extra cleaning shifts on weekends, and even sold her old engagement ring to buy Bryant his first computer. As for the Taylors, that chapter remained closed. The boys didn't need to know, not yet. When the twins turned 7, the school auditorium buzzed with excitement for talent show. Candace smoothed her best dress and perched on the edge of her front row seat, her hands clasped tight in her lap. Bryant walked bravely to the microphone, his paper trembling slightly. Then his clear young voice rang out with a poem titled "The Bravest Person I Know." She brought me into this world, held me close when others walked away, fought for me before I could even say my own name. The auditorium grew utterly still as he took a deep breath. "My mama isn't just my mother, she's the reason my whole world is good." A collective gasp swept through the crowd. Women reached for tissues. Men cleared tight throats. Candace sat frozen, her vision blurring. Then Stephen appeared beside his brother, carefully placing a small keyboard on the stand. As his fingers found the notes of the very lullaby Candace had sung to them as newborns, she could no longer hold back her tears. As the applause faded, a finely dressed woman hesitantly approached Candace. "You might not recognize me," the stranger said. Candace studied the familiar yet unfamiliar face. "Should I know you?" "I worked at the surrogacy agency back then," the woman confessed, her voice dropping. "When the Taylors saw the boy's skin color, they panicked. Said black children would clash with their family image. They forced us to sever all contact." Candace's breath caught. After all these years, the truth still stung. "Why tell me now?" she whispered. The woman's eyes grew misty. "Because when they tried adopting again last year, I finally quit. I couldn't stay silent anymore." Candace gazed across the lawn where Stephen and Bryant played in the sunset light. She smiled softly. "They did me a favor, really. I didn't get their apology, but I got these 2 precious souls instead." One quiet morning, Candace nearly spilled her coffee when she saw the local newspaper headline. "Surrogate discovers twins are biologically hers. A mother's love changes everything." Before she knew it, their story had spread like wildfire. Phone calls came flooding in. Television interviews, book offers, even movie rights. But Candace politely declined them all. The only exception was a brief radio interview where she shared her simple wisdom. Life doesn't require perfect plans. Just a heart that chooses love, day after day. Years later, when reporters asked Bryant and Stephen what made their mother extraordinary, they didn't mention the sacrifices or the legal battle. They simply said in unison, "She chose us, every day, in 1,000 little ways." And that, Candace knew, was the truest answer of all. If this touching story warmed your heart, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment down below. Your stories matter to us. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. Until next time, may your days be filled with kindness and the simple joys that make life beautiful.